All right, welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, Nick.
How's it going?
It's going. It's good. It's a new day.
It sure is. It sure is a new day. Um, I've been overworking myself a little the last few days, but you know what's really helping me?
What?
I can pretty much now play It Again by Luke Bryan on guitar.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. What a great reward for all the hard work.
Yeah, truly. I've just been like, it's not that hard of a guitar song, honestly. I think that's because I've listened to it about 14,311 times. So it's already in there. I'm just like, where do my fingers go?
Right.
So that's been helping and making me excited, but overworked myself a little the few days, and I'm calling that out because the next few won't be as bad.
Wow. Yeah, no, I've been doing the same. And it's a lot of different deep thinking work too. It's like we had a 2-day break after San Diego, and then it's like it wasn't even a break because it was also just like everything from the event with Brands Meet Creators Live was just like downloaded. And so my break was from socialization, but not so much from work. So I really haven't stopped working in a while. So I feel that completely.
Yeah, I had zero break because that day of where I traveled for 12 hours, like I think I had 40 minutes before I got home and had to do the Q&A and then a coaching call after, and I was like, wow. So I need a minute to slow down, and the next 2 days I will be able to do that, which is good.
Yeah, that's amazing. I will sometime in a couple weeks be able to do that.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. We have a great episode coming today. Another AYQ, another Answering Your Questions podcast. And we're going to talk about balancing life and work. So, are you ready to dive into the question that we got?
Let's do it. Should we listen to it?
Let's listen to it.
Okay.
Hi, my friends. It's Marissa. I have definitely left you guys one of these, but I just think it's so cool and it's so sweet that you offer a full episode or even any of this information and knowledge on your podcasts that you do. So, my question is how to find the balance between the hustle and like the living, because I am such a oh, life is so short, like taking days off. I don't even want to work anymore because I just like want to enjoy life. And then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I love working. I can do this for 14 hours a day without ever getting tired. So I'm always one way or the other. And I'm really trying to find the balance in my daily life. And I'm sure that looks like routine or whatever, but I know you both will have really great feedback on that. So any tips are greatly appreciated. And I love you both.
What a great message.
So wonderful. I love her.
By the way, guys, if you love this podcast and you want us to do an episode on something that you're working through, or even if it's just a segment, it doesn't have to be something super long if you don't want the pressure of a full episode, but go to creation2cashflow.com. Leave us a voice memo just like that. We have really been enjoying these AYQ episodes, and we're going to start doing a lot more of them because we do this podcast for you guys. This is not an avenue for us to, I don't know, like make money or do, like, we don't run any ads. Maybe we will at some point. We've talked about that, but only if it's something we know you guys would love and appreciate. We do this for you guys. So go get your money's worth, even though you're not paying anything. Go get your money's worth, claim an episode, leave us a voice memo. We would love to do an episode for you.
Yeah.
Ready to dive into this one? We were excited about this. It's so a topic that we could riff on for 3 hours.
Literally, I'm so excited. Let's dive right in.
Okay. I think first thing, um, you don't like the word balance very much.
I don't. And it's because to me the word balance means that you are trying to achieve something that might not be what balance actually is for you as an individual. And for me personally, if you listen to this podcast, you know I have ADHD. And honestly, it took me a long time to fully accept it, embrace it, and then actually use it to my advantage. And so for me, the word balance, like when I was getting therapy for ADHD, like really my mindset around ADHD and just like around working as an individual, I remember my therapist was like, you are just wired differently. So for you to try to fit in a balance between work and enjoying life, like you're always going to feel like you're not doing it good enough, you're not doing it right because you're just so different. Like you can't look at what works for anyone else and try to replicate that. And so I think that's why the word balance, I'm like, balance looks different for everyone. I think the number one way to start having more balance is to stop trying to have balance. And it sounds like so backwards, but I think just like starting there and accepting like maybe you are the kind of person that has ADHD or has similar like ways that you are wired. So let's talk about how you really work through that if you're wired like me. But Nick, how do you feel about that word?
Um, Nothing against the word itself, but in this context, I think it sucks because it implies that there's something there is a perfect that there's like an equation for like, oh, like when you have this many hours of work to do, you just balance it out with this much self-care and this much time with friends. That means that you know, this is how much family time you'll have, and here's when you cater to pets, and here's what you do when there's a chaos day. It's like there is not a perfect scenario that you're going to find. And there, I mean, sure, I bet there is an equation that would help people. And it's like spend this much time here, this much time here, and this much time here. But unless you are living on top of a mountain by yourself with no technology, you are not going to be able to keep that equation and balance going.
No, and there might be a situation or season, just a season of life where you are in harmony with a schedule that's working for you. But as soon as things start to change and shift, because they will, because we do not live alone on top of a mountain, we live in the world and things come our way that we aren't expecting, things change constantly. Like, as soon as that stops working for you, instead of trying to get back to that, you got to kind of shift and find something new that works for you. Like, a lot of people use time as a great conceptualized schedule. Like they use like the 5 a.m. thing. Like here's what time I wake up. Here's what time I get ready. Here's what time I go to work. Here's what time I get home and start cooking. Like that is amazing. People are using that as a reference. But the thing is, like, that only worked for me for a few months and it was amazing. And then as soon as it stopped working for me, I was like, felt guilty. Like I was like, oh my gosh, why can't I get this to work for me anymore? But it's because it wasn't supposed to. It was for that time being. And so we have to be very flexible with these things. And then also, I think it's more so figuring out knowing what's working best for you and then accepting it rather than trying to figure out what is the balance. And I think that's a good way to like answer this question too. It's just like, let's help Marissa figure out what her balance is because she might be wired more like me.
Yeah, it's true. It's not going to look the same for everyone, but to me, what has helped a lot is trying to, now I feel like I can't use the word balance in my description, but trying to find a way where I'm placing some energy into my future goals and some energy into being present and being happy here and now. And that it does not always look the same, and I'm not always able to do this in this light, but when I spend the first hour of the day solely doing things for me that make me feel good, no matter how shitty or unbalanced the rest of the day may feel, I'll look back at the end of the day and be like, it actually went pretty well. You know, like maybe some chaotic things happened. Maybe I got a flat tire. Maybe I ended up having to, I missed a meeting or I had a bunch of meetings or I was really busy. And sure, I didn't get everything done I wanted to. But as long as I spent some time being present in sitting in meditation, doing yoga, maybe it's just a 15-minute walk with my dog. Sometimes that's all you can do, but to me finding a way to make life and work to make them work together instead of against each other is just, did I set some time aside to take care of myself today without too many time thieves? You know, like when you wake up and you grab your phone, you lost. You are already lost, and you're going to feel shitty, but if you can just be in control of how the day looks, even if maybe you weren't perfectly balanced, but you were in control of it at least, that helps me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the word that is like ringing in my head right now is just harmony. Every day has harmony, and you harmonize the work and the self-care and the fun all together into a single day. And I think one thing that's really helped me is figuring out what is a priority that I do need to get done, and then allowing myself the break of, do I feel like I need one? Okay, let me go do something else right now. But Marissa said, like, there are some days that she's like, I could work 14 hours and like love what I do. That is me all the time. And then there are days where I'm like, I cannot pull myself together right now to make any kind of content or to think anything administrative or organizationally. And so that is just, it's not a bad thing. It's just one of those days where I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to listen to my body, listen to my mind, and I'm going to take a step back so I can recharge. So I can, even though I feel like I recharge when I work, there are times when I'm like, I've had to learn how to listen to my body and accept it. I think it's all back to like, I think a lot of times we know what we need to do, but we don't listen. Like we try to push through and like be the same as we were yesterday. And it's just like, it just hurts us because our body is literally telling us, like, do this. Like we just had to learn to listen to it. First, we had to know how to hear it. Then we had to learn how to listen to it. And of course, we have responsibilities. You might feel like you need a break, but you got to take your kids to school or something. Like there's a balance in that. I think that's like when you try to give 100%, like what is the necessity? What is it that you have to get done? You have to take your kids to school. Well, if you had other things on your plate that day, maybe they can be pushed to a different day, like Nick's little ABCDE list where he prioritizes his to-do list, and then giving yourself the grace to wait a day to do those things that are not like they need to be done right now.
That was all really well said. Two things that I really want to even go deeper on. One is, what is the timeline that we're grading ourselves on? Because most people are looking at a day. And they're like, oh, I was out of whack this day. And I literally just mentioned this. Today's Wednesday. We record on Wednesdays typically. My Monday and Tuesday this week were so unbalanced. I had my first call Monday at 7 a.m. It was a Spanish lesson. And my last call ended at 9:40 p.m. And the whole day, it wasn't constant calls, but it was pretty constant, and I had to prepare for the calls in between. So like I had time to like eat a little bit and then like back into this chair working. And I was like, talk about a day that was not balanced. But my week is going to be very balanced because today I'm all, as soon as we're done with this podcast, I'm done. Tomorrow I got a couple little tiny things to do, and Friday I've got barely anything on the to-do list. So the timeline we look at also will determine how we feel. If you look at my Monday alone, not very well balanced, too much work. If you look at my Thursday alone, not very well balanced, not enough work. But if you look at my week, overall it's going to average out pretty well. I'll have had a lot of time for me, a lot of guitar time, a lot of yoga and exercise time, a lot of work time, progress, all the things. So sometimes changing up the timeline can help us see that maybe we're in better balance than we think.
Yeah.
Sure, I don't recommend a 14-hour workday to anyone, but that was just how it had to happen. I had to make a sacrifice, and that was just how it happened. So
I agree.
the other thing I really liked that you were bringing up is the awareness of all of this. That is something that is so helpful. And the book we've been reading a ton of lately, The Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO by Robin Sharma, same guy who wrote the 5 a.m. Club. If you've been listening for a while, you know that we had a stint of like 5 episodes where we were just talking about lessons in that book. The last few episodes have kind of been lessons from this book too. Robin Sharma books, they're just so good. Can't recommend enough. But there's 4 stages to your awareness. And the first one is unconscious incompetence. That is where you're not even keen to the fact that you are out of whack and you're not self-aware. The next one is conscious incompetence. You're aware that you're out of whack. This is a good place to be, at least. This is like Marissa right now, who submitted this. She was like, I know that it's not working for me. I just don't know how to find better balance. So that's conscious incompetence. The third one, conscious competence. You're getting the hang of things, but you have to think about it. You have to be conscious about it, and it takes brain power and effort. This would be maybe like after this, hopefully, Marissa gets to the conscious competence stage where she's now conscious about balancing her work and her life, and she has to think about it, but it's working for her. And the final stage, just mastery, unconscious competence. You don't even have to think about it. You just have it.
What's really cool about the last one Nick just said is that a lot of us, that is the thing in life that we're naturally gifted at. And that's kind of what we should start pursuing is what are you unconsciously competent about? That is like a really good way to indicate where, like what direction you should be going.
Yes, that is a really good thought. Those things that feel effortless to you that you're good at, chase them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a lot. I'm just going to say the four of them all together just so that we have it. Unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you're doing and you're kind of lost. Conscious incompetence. You're aware that you're kind of lost. Conscious competence. You're aware and you're making improvements and you have to think about it, but you're making improvements. And then unconscious competence. You don't have to think about it. You are competent at whatever the thing is. Maybe it's work life balance. It's usually just self awareness, though. Just aware of your good habits and your bad habits and everything of the sort.
Right. And doing habits, changing habits, and creating new habits will lead you into the unconscious competence, which is where we should all desire to be.
Yes. And you also might come out of that sometimes too, because you're never just going to like not have to assess or think about things. I feel like I go back and forth between conscious competence, like having to think about it, and unconscious competence where I'm just cruising. Like
Yeah.
right now, I have to think about it because this week I was a little bit unbalanced, a little bit out of whack, but I'm at least aware of it and I know how to make the changes to get back there. Here's another, I want to switch gears a little bit. What do you think of, Michelle? And just like, I want to just make this our next talking point. Once I achieve this or that, I'll be happy.
No, absolutely not.
It feels like this magical thing that people are trying to do. Like, it, and not to just be like, oh, Marissa, it's really for everyone. But she's almost looking for like, what is that perfect balance where I am happy? Because she's like, I love work sometimes, but some days I love life so much I don't want to work. But there's not a state she's gonna find where she can like, oh, once I have this or do this, then life will be perfect.
Oh, you're right. I mean, the thing is too, for me, again, this is kind of how I'm wired. I had to learn, and now I know, but I had to learn that the 14-hour days, the going hard, and then the kind of like, I just want to enjoy life and be present in the moment, that is my balance. And that is what makes me happy. Like, I am happy when I'm working, and then I am happy when I'm present. Like in San Diego, I couldn't really do a lot of work. I mean, yeah, we were there like mentoring, whatever, but I couldn't do a lot of creativity. And I had my list of things on those days for everyone, especially Marissa, on those days where you're not really wanting to work, you just want to enjoy life. Have those 1 to 2 things you do need to get them done early in the day. That way, you're not thinking about them the rest of the day. You're not feeling guilty for not getting them done the rest of the day. And on the days where you're ready to work, you don't have to catch up on the things you didn't get done that were super important. To me, I had to learn how to be grateful and happy with whatever I was currently doing. And yeah, make changes along the way, but you have to start feeling that gratitude and that joy. Just like, this is how I am. This is okay. I'm still getting stuff done that I need to get done. Because if Marissa is anything like me, those 14-hour days, I get 5 days worth of work done in that 14-hour one day because I'm so hyper focused, productive, and then it's like, okay, now I need like a little bit of a break to like kind of unravel from that work mode and remind myself that people are the most important thing about being a human being. And then I kind of go hard again, but I'm getting stuff done. I'm not neglecting my priorities and my responsibilities. So I think that like for me, that's the answer. But I'd love to hear what you think about all that.
Well, I mean, I agree with everything you just stated. That sounds like such a healthy way to go about it. It makes me feel better about how my week started as well. Like sometimes that's just how it's going to look. I love having a balanced week because the day is not always balanced, but I'm totally aware and conscious of the fact that my happiness is an inner state that I will create. It is not the result of something that I will achieve. I so badly thought it was when I was just trying to quit my job and I was begging the universe. I was like, I just need to make $5,000 a month and I will be happy. And as soon as I made $5,000 per month, I was like, this is good, but it's not enough. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's probably like a hamster wheel that I will never get off of, actually. Like, you'll never have enough money. You'll never you'll never just like achieve something and be like, oh, I'm good now. I'm good forever. Unless you hit the lottery. And even that tends to ruin people's lives from what we see. So I've learned over my now 2 or 3, however many years of being self-employed and a little bit more free to just like build the life that I want. I have learned, and this works if you're not self-employed, by the way. It's just the lesson I've learned that my happiness is an inner state that I will create. And if I don't create it in the morning and I'm not proactive to the day, if I'm reacting to the day, I'm not going to be happy. Like if I wake up to an alarm to do things and work and things I don't want to do, I'm not going to have a good day. I'm going to feel like I don't have balance. But if I start the day and create an inner state of happiness, meditation is so helpful for that, by the way. Every single person should probably meditate in the morning. I know I'm going to love the day, even if I had to work 14 hours.
Yeah. And a good way to indicate where you are, what state you are currently in, is when stuff happens to you that you aren't expecting, things come up, like to really just analyze, not judge, analyze your inner state, your inner being of where you are. How are you responding when something crazy happens? So Nick knows this, and I was going to say this at the start of the podcast, and then I was like, I'm not going to talk about it. But our dog, my dog, he's 4 years old. He's been limping for a few months, and the vet was like, it's arthritis because he gained weight when he lived in Texas. And we found out on Monday, so 2 days ago, we took him to a different vet, and they put him in like emergency surgery to get his CCL repaired. And the thing is, like, it was $8,500 just for the surgery. And now we have to keep bringing him back, and it's like 500 to 600 every appointment we bring him back. $8,500 we were not expecting. But for some reason, I'm like, okay, my dog was told he could never run or jump again because of this arthritis. That is something you can't really cure. But if he has a ruptured CCL with bone fragments that are kind of everywhere and he has to put a stent in his leg, but he can recover fully, I'm so grateful that that's what's going on. I don't care how much it costs. Like, yeah, that really sucks. And it's like, I need to go hard on TikTok shop now. But the thing is, I'm like, okay, I had this unexpected thing happened. It's really hard. I can hear him crying right now as we're doing the podcast. It's really hard to hear him in pain. He just got back. I haven't even seen him this morning. He got back an hour ago when we were in a meeting. And so I'm like, okay, where am I currently right now? I'm sitting in my bedroom. My in laws are in town. I just had to pay this really expensive credit card bill because I will never carry a balance on my credit card. Like, so many things are being thrown at me. I'm tired. Like, I was up throwing up all night 2 nights ago, and then we had an early meeting yesterday. Like, all these things are happening, right? But if you ask me how I'm doing, I'm like, honestly, life is so beautiful. Life is so good. Like, these are circumstances that happened. They're neutral. These are things that happen. This is a fact. This is what is happening. But how do I feel about it? How am I responding to it? I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful my dog's going to be able to do his favorite thing, run and jump again someday. I'm so grateful that I am healthy and that I was able to recover from being sick in the middle of the night 2 nights ago. I am so happy that I have a home. I'm happy I have motivation to work harder, more focus. Like, anytime these unexpected bills come, I'm like, oh, I need to probably focus on my business more. I need to create more content. I need to really focus on that so I'm not so distracted with everything else going on in life. And it's almost like I use these things to like internalize how am I feeling, what is happening in my life, and also just remind myself like, holy crap, if this was happening to me 3 years ago, I would have responded so poorly. I would have been like, there's a GoFundMe up on Facebook, please help me out, woe is me, like I'm a victim, this sucks. And then you know what I would have done? Attracted more horrible things into my life. I would have, if I respond that way, I'm going to only bring more things into my life that are not good, that seem like bad circumstances. But I'm just so grateful right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, my dog's surgery went well. I'm healthy. Everything is beautiful. We're doing episode 72 of the podcast. Like, life is good. And it's in these moments when I feel like things are kind of thrown my way that I can be like, they're not thrown at me, they're handed to me as an opportunity for growth. And I love it. So think about what's happening to you. And next time you're in one of those states, and then that's where you can be like, oh, am I consciously competent now, to where it's like I realize that I'm responding a certain way and I can change my mindset. So I just think that that's a good opportunity to like really check in with your inner self.
That is so good and so profound. Like your way of thinking is so good. Like this is what the people come here for. They want to hear that. Like, I mean, that is a shitty hand to be dealt realistically. I also was sick the last 2 days. Actually, didn't
Oh,
even didn't even think to mention it because I'm just so happy and
yeah.
grateful. But I must have had 16 cough drops over the last like 24 hours because my throat has been so fucking sore. But I was like, you know what? Life is good. Like, we're having a good day. So what? We got a bunch of meetings and I have to talk and lead every single meeting. Let me just go get some cough drops. That's all we need. And I went and spent $2 on cough drops and I was like, yeah, we're going to be just fine. And I drank my Trader Joe's ginger turmeric tea every morning and every night, and big fat spoonfuls of honey and a ton of liver. And now today I'm like, man, it's a bad day to be a germ in my body because you do not want this. Because I feel great today, but like I was definitely starting to get sick like the last 2 days, and I was like, no, 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 no. We need positivity, we need liver, and we need tea, and and we will be just fine.
Honestly, that's so amazing, Nick. So after we got back from San Diego, I thought I was sick. Like I thought I had strep. My throat was hurting so bad last Friday. And I remember looking at my Aura ring, and then I remember you saying something about the Whoop watch, how it was like if it starts to tell you you're getting sick, you're more likely to actually get sick because you're believing it. But for some reason, my Aura ring wasn't telling me I was sick, but I felt like I had strep throat or COVID or the flu. Like I felt like crap, my body was hurting. But I was like, you know what? My ring says I'm not sick. I'm not sick. I'm going to show up. I'm going to go to class. I had so many cough drops. I had so much tea, elderberry, another word, zinc, vitamin C, like a lot of different things. And I was like, I'm happy, I'm healthy. We're not doing this. We're kicking this. We're kicking this. And then like 2 days later I was completely fine. And so I love that it's like this mindset, this thinking truly affects our physical health as well.
It absolutely does, and we've talked about this. We did an episode. I forget the name of it, but it was, if you just look at the titles, you'll definitely be able to figure it out. It was probably 3-4 months ago, but where we talk about how like you can think yourself into or out of like sicknesses and diseases and things. And we talked about, I'll just give like brief example. We talked about the study that was done on these Japanese kids where I think there were two groups of 13 kids, and they rubbed poison ivy on group A. Group A is 13 kids. They rubbed poison ivy on their arm, but they told them it was nothing, just like some random ass plant that won't do anything. And only two people got a rash. And then group B, also 13 kids, they rubbed some random plant that wouldn't harm them. They rubbed that on their arms, but told them it was poison ivy. And 9 or 10 of the 13 kids got a rash. But this plant, it wasn't poisonous, but they were told that it was.
That's the thing. It's like, it's what are you telling yourself? So if you're telling, back to Marissa's thing, if you're telling yourself, I'm out of balance, this isn't good, that's what you're going to actually experience that this isn't good, that you are out of balance. And it's like, if you feel like you're getting your stuff done and you're being responsible, but maybe you feel out of balance because your days don't look like the typical, like, people that are very successful that are saying like, oh, I wake up at this time and I drink coffee at this time and I meditate and I do the, like, if you feel like you're getting your stuff done and you're happy, then this might be balance for you. And it just looks different than everyone else's balance. But you have to ask yourself, what are you telling yourself? Like, if I told myself, like, oh my gosh, I just moved into this expensive penthouse and then I had this unexpected bill, and it's like if I was telling myself these, I don't even want to say that. I hate even like speaking that, but I don't believe it. So I'm like, get that out of here. Um, but if I was telling myself that, you know what would come today? Another horrible thing. Like, I would just start attracting these things, this negativity into my life. But I'm like, no, there's a barrier, there's a barricade, because that's not true. That's not my reality. I'm not claiming that reality. Like, that's not real. And so it it is so important, the self-talk. And of course, I think we say that in every episode, but like, especially when it comes to finding this balance. Um, Maybe Marissa's not thinking that though. Like, maybe it is more practical where she's like, what works for you guys? So Nick, I would actually really love to hear what you said, a balanced week, right? So what does that mean? So you have a few days where you're like a lot of meetings, a lot of work, and then you have like some fishing, golfing kind of days. Like, can you kind of give us an example?
Absolutely, I can. And also, right before I do too, because you mentioned like what you claim and what you don't. This is a line from the Saint, the Surfer, and the CEO. Before you can claim what you desire in your life, you must name what you desire in your life. So, yeah, I mean, a good one for sure. But before we talk about, like, here's what I actually do. I want everyone listening, as well as Marissa, to truly just decide, what do you want it to look like? What is the perfect day? And that's what we strive for. You want to be proactive to it, not reactive and like, oh, I have all this stuff. How do I work in the self-care? It's like, no, let's decide what your perfect day is. How much time are you working? How much time are you spending taking care of yourself? How much time with family, friends, whatever? Uh, and by the way, I've mentioned this before too, but it's another hard hitter. When I was still working my corporate job as a civil engineer, I wrote on a sticky note, if you don't know what you want, you'll never know when you've got it. And I put it on the wall, and then I put my vision board over it. And my vision board was there for like 2 years. So I just like planted this seed in my brain, and I was like, this is what I want. And I would look at that vision board every day because it was in my cubicle, and everyone in the office thought I was the cubicle crazy person, because I was. And when I finally took that vision board down the day I quit and I read that, and I was like, oh my God, I did it. I decided what I wanted my life to look like. It took time, but I built it and I did it. And it was like, I didn't cry, but I was like hysterical still reading that. I was like, I can't believe I left that message for myself. But I decided, I was like, here's what I want my life to look like. Now let's go.
It's crazy how the little seeds, like, we can set them and then forget them, and they still grow if we're doing little things to subconsciously build them up and water them and fertilize them. It's so cool. Man, vision boards, I used to not like understand why people did them. And as soon as I started doing them, my first one I did when I moved to LA, I have everything that I actually put on that. Like, it's the weirdest thing where I'm like, "What? Like, how is that possible?" But it's really not that deep. Like, it's deep, but it's not that complicated. It's so simple. So don't underestimate the power of a vision board.
I think everything on mine has come true except for two things that were a stretch but possible. I had one on there that was 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, one that was make $20,000 in a month, one that was buy a boat, one that was do some kind of like public speaking thing. It was a picture of Tony Robbins on a stage. One that was become a yoga teacher. Like, I did everything on there except go to Nova Scotia, Canada, and um, I think that's the only one actually. There's a golf
What?
course in Nova Scotia that I really want to go to, but I
Oh, a
haven't been
golf
there yet.
course?
Yeah.
I was like, "What's in Nova Scotia?"
There's like a very special golf course called Cabot Cliffs where it's like on some cliffs, and it faces west, so the sun sets over it. Totally gonna go. I sent them an email like a couple days ago, but I just
Oh,
like they have certain seasons that they recommend you go, and certain where it's like it is so expensive. So I'm just trying to find the timing and the group to go with. But anyway, we'll switch gears to what it like actual strategy for like what does balance look like in Nick's life. Wednesdays non-negotiable, like this doesn't change. Wednesdays from 10 to 2, sometimes 2:30. It's 2:02 right now. Depends how long we go here, but like Wednesdays from 10 to 2 meetings and this podcast. After that on Wednesdays, also non-negotiable, time with my friends. It's either am I fishing or are we going on the boat? Wait, no. Those are the same kind of. Am I golfing or am I fishing? That is like Wednesdays. That is how they look. And then the morning Wednesdays is just like eat. Maybe I sleep in. Maybe I get to the gym. Maybe I meditate. Just do something for myself in the morning. Work and help other people from 10 to 2. Past that, from like 3 to 5 or 3 to 8, time with friends. I think having one day like mandatory, like that your friends know. It's like that is our day. I think that has been so helpful for me because sure, there's other random times, maybe on a Thursday night or a Friday morning or whatever, like my friends are like, let's go to the beach, let's go play basketball, let's go do something cool. But I don't have to have any guilt if I can't do those things because like Wednesday is our definite day for some work, some time with friends. Sundays for me, I teach yoga in the morning. So that's like my fulfilling thing. I make very little money doing that, but it's not a waste of time because it's a thing that makes me feel good and other people feel good. Sunday afternoon, a couple calls, I do a little bit of work. Sunday nights are for me. And I just try to structure days, I guess, as I'm thinking about it. I have these blocks where I'm like friend time, family time, work time, self development time, and also some blank ones too. Because if you have too many of those, you're not going to be able to stick to it. But I just have some like non negotiable, like Sunday morning is yoga, Sunday afternoon is work, Wednesday night is friend stuff, Wednesday midday, work stuff. And I just have these like non negotiable blocks. I think I have about 10 of them in the week. They're usually like 3 to 4 hours. And it's just like that will not change. And then the rest of the stuff, whatever has to be done. Maybe I have to work a little bit extra. Maybe I spend some extra time with family or with friends or taking care of myself. But just having a couple non negotiable things makes me always feel like it's going to be a good week.
yeah, that's a really good point. I do the same thing,
How does
basically.
it how does it actually look in your life? Because I I think people are really like, what does a week in Michelle's life look like? Because we kind of know what a day is like sometimes, but what is a week?
Wednesdays, we're in different time zones, so I wake up at 5 a.m. It's my early day. It's the only day I set an alarm in the morning. I use a sleep cycle alarm, so I'm not abruptly woken up. So it kind of wakes me up when I'm not in my like REM cycle. It's really beneficial. Definitely recommend everybody use sleep cycle. So I wake up early. We have meetings, and then Wednesday afternoons are for me as well because I think Mondays and Wednesdays are the days I'm actually meeting with people. So Wednesday, I meet with Nick. I try to like recap things or do little things until like noon. And then I like today, my sister in law's in town. So I'm going to bring her to like Laguna Beach or some beach and just kind of have like a day with her as long as my dog's okay. I don't know. He's crying. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So that's Wednesday. Thursdays are, I try not to have meetings. Sometimes you and I have meetings with some of the Brands Meet Creators things, but Thursdays are pretty open. Thursdays, I try to be like my weekend because Fridays I have class, Sundays I have class. So all day up until like 10 p.m., I'm just in actress mode and storytelling mode and emotional prep and all that stuff. That ends in a couple months and then it's going to switch days. So we'll see what happens. Saturdays are, I mean, I work. I try not to work every day of the week, but I do a little work every day of the week. But Saturdays, I try to like get stuff done around the house that I can. And I just walk on my treadmill, edit videos. Like, I don't go to the gym right now in this season of life. I'm not going to the gym. I'm purely working out at home. Like, I have weights, I have a treadmill, I have barbells, like I have all the equipment that I need, and I'll just do like random things throughout the day, every day. But Saturday for sure, I walk at least 5 miles on my treadmill. And then on Mondays, the morning is I sleep in. I try not to have meetings in the morning, and then we'll have meetings the rest of the day. Monday, we end pretty late. Nick and I both end pretty late. And then Tuesdays are, again, try not to have meetings Tuesday, Thursday, but Tuesdays, I think we do have some pretty regular meetings lately. But I try to like be solely no camera, no nothing on Tuesday, Thursday. And then every other day of the week is like, camera mode, actress mode, content creator mode, coaching mode, meeting mode, all that stuff. So I throw in the workouts every day. I think we talked about how I randomly will do like 10 push-ups just any time of the day. Like if I'm feeling like overstimulated, I'm like, "Okay, drop and give me 10, Michelle. Like, let's go. Let's do this." And I walk on my treadmill regularly too. But leaving the apartment, I don't leave as often. I love being at my penthouse. It's just like so nice. So we have people over a lot, like especially at night. Friends come over 5 times a week, but it's the same friends, and we'll like play a game or we'll watch something or we'll just hang out. And yeah, so that's like my socialization is usually like 7 or 9 p.m. to like 10 or 11 p.m.
So it seems like our common theme is that we have these blocks of like, who do I need to be in this block and who do I need to show up for? And sometimes that's I need to show up for myself. Sometimes that's I need to show up for my friends. Sometimes that's I need to show up for my family. And sometimes that's I need to show up for the people I work with or work for. But it seems like that's our theme. And there's not that much strategy to it. Like you mentioned, like, oh, that's going to change in a few months because it's just this constantly changing thing. And I guess the last like bit of advice is I feel like we have to surrender a little bit. We have to surrender to what life is offering us. We're not being punished. Things all work out in our favor in the end. Even if you're dealt a shitty hand, like Michelle's dog did not, poor Ollie, but like Ollie did not hurt his CCL like on purpose, but like you have to surrender to it, and there's going to be lessons and opportunities in it, and it's going to work out better in the end because when you're being told he has arthritis, it's like, okay, your 4-year-old dog can never jump on your couch again. It's like that's not a good scenario. And it, even then, like when we thought that was the case, there was some kind of lesson in there. There was something we had to surrender to. But good thing you didn't like try and control that and let it get to you too much because things change so quickly, which is why you can't try and control everything that happens in the world around you. Sometimes you have to surrender to it. And as long as you have your time and put in the work to be happy every day, everything will work out just fine. No matter how much time you spent working or working on yourself, it'll be just fine.
Yeah. Accept where you are. Be grateful for where you are. Be grateful for who you are. Accept who you are. And show up as you are. And you'll grow over time. And the people that stay in your life for a long time will see that. But like, I think that acceptance and just like understanding yourself is so important. Like, I stopped apologizing for the way I am. I mean, yeah, sometimes I'm like, I know this is inconvenient, but like, I need to hop on my treadmill real quick. I'm so sorry. Like I used to be so like catering to everyone. I totally forgot who I was and like what I wanted. And I think that it's just like people appreciate when you know who you are and then you're like communicative about that and respectful about it, but you're you and you're like, this is what I need right now. Like if I'm ever tired and my friends are coming over and I'm like, hey, I'm too tired, I need a night alone, they're so understanding. So like surround yourself with people who also accept who you are, understand who you are, and love you for who you are.
That's such good conscious competence right there when you're like, I'm too tired. I can't give myself to other people right now, and that they can be understanding of that. And that's what it's all about. Just being self-aware of like some days it's going to look like that. It's going to look what might feel like a lack of balance, but as long as you're operating based on how you feel, like, are you happy? Are you moving towards your goals as well, and not just being like too present? I think that's the balance.
Yeah,
This was a long episode,
I know.
but I think it was a really helpful one. And if you guys found this helpful, remember, go to creation2cashflow.com. We'll make an episode for you. Go drop us a voice memo. We would be more than happy. But if you liked this episode, we don't run any ads. Just do us the favor. We have so many people that tell us how much they love the podcast, but we don't have that many 5-star ratings. So go drop us that 5-star rating and leave a review of the show. That is so helpful and appreciated. It helps us grow and reach new people and keep improving. And if you're loving this, just let us know, because we do it for you. Anything else, Michelle?
Where they can find us on social media?
Where they can find us on social media. You can go check out Creation to Cashflow on Instagram or YouTube if you want to watch us. You can follow Michelle on Instagram and TikTok at MichelleJH. That's Michelle with 2 L's, then 4 E's, JH. And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Get Ahead with Nick.
Yep.
And that's the episode, and we'll see you in the next one.